some of us old dogs get to yap, and then the up and coming ones get to yap as well. And I think it's awesome just get the different perspectives and everything. So I'm excited to cast with you, though. This is the final series for the quarterfinals. We are going to see who joins autopilot.
Yeah, this is going to be a great series. FlyingDuck may be perceived as the underdog in this matchup, but he's a very strong player. He definitely knows how to like macro, transition, take the game long. And Andy, of course, no slouch either. So I'm really looking to see some fireworks. Hopefully we get a 3-2 series. Lots of 3-0s this round of 8. So kind of hoping for a longer set.
Nice. If you want to throw to players, we can see that these are 2 UK compatriots right here. So this is an all UK affair. I think rAndy, if we look at his stats, we've talked about him before, but he is just a perennial player who goes deep and does incredibly well. And I'm actually going to stop talking because they are going to start picks and bans. So we need to start updating Figma. But do you think there's any maps that favor either of these players, Barcast?
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty similar to like the Raxel X Factor matchup where, the better player, air quotes, is looking to get on larger, more macro maps, maybe something a bit more standard, whereas FlyingDuck, I'm assuming, would like to have maps played on something a bit smaller. See Andy going ahead and banning Eye of Horus first. I think that's just a nod to FlyingDuck's strength as an Armada player, believe it or not. So I think Eye of Horus perhaps one of the better maps for Armada bots in the pool, but it's going to be eliminated straight away.
I didn't know anyone played Armada. That's crazy.
Yeah, who knew?
And we're going to see our Andy pick Arch Some Cats, which oddly enough in qualifiers it was not played that much, and then in group stages it was the second or first most played map. It became much more popular. It's interesting because we've seen success with every lab except for ARM bots. We've seen a ton of core bot, we've seen ARM V on it, and we've seen core bots. Blodir has done some incredible games with it as core bots.
Yeah, Corbot's very stable on that map. If you do choose to spawn on that high ground plateau, it's just so easy to park grunts on those 3 ramps, and you're pretty much, kind of content to, spam construction bots, get up your build power, stuff like that. So no real surprise to see. Andy had an interesting style on this map. If any of you caught the round of 16 match, he played that map against me and stuck on this like really aggressive Armada vehicle style, really kind of bringing the pressure to the other side of the map, not going for that, greedy multi-con expansion opens you see that's very popular on that map.
And then we got a pick for Devil's Post Piles, which I'm excited. I think that map has the highest chance to go T2 out of any other map in the pool, so it's always enjoyable. And I think shout out to Aiden for incredible work on that map. We've seen a ton of kind of variable games on it. Following that up, rAndy's going to pick pools.
So I know Andy's been developing some pretty spicy strats. He might not decide to show them today just because, perhaps he thinks he has an advantage in this match, so doesn't really need to bust out like all the deep stuff he's been cooking or not. But tomorrow I would expect some pretty spicy stuff from him.
Yeah, I'm excited. We haven't seen a single game on Devils today, have we?
No, and I guess we're guaranteed to see it, right? So game 2 is going to be on Devil's Post. I think it was kind of teased in an earlier series, being game 3 on, I guess, was that Blodir?
Yeah.
Probably out here.
No, it was Blodir Raxel.
Blodir Raxel. Excuse me. I was okay. Anyways, but like you were saying, the map can go to T2, right? It's a very kind of choky map in some regards. Pretty high economy as well, just by nature of it. Like, there's multiple geos you can take. There's just tons of mexes you can go after. So, and, kind of similar to some of the other maps like Arkham Cats, you do see a pretty wide range of races and labs being chosen to start.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that this has been one of the more, well, minus the dominance of vehicles, I think this has been a super enjoyable map pool for BPL. So good work on you. And first game is in Arch Some Cats. I don't think we've seen anything super non-standard aside from the corner spawns. LDM, if you would be so kind as to show us the big map.
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to Sash actually, who's been helping me pick these maps for the last couple of seasons. So you can kind of send your regards to him as far as having like a solid map pool to play on for the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has pretty much always spawned on this high ground here, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I think you do have some options as far as like spawning like top right or bottom left. I think I've actually seen Andy in particular do that, but it's definitely kind of goes without saying that the bottom right and top left plateaus are great places to spawn just by the nature of they're so easy to defend once you have a few units out.
Awesome. So players are loading in and we're getting ready. So this is going to be our final set of the day. 8 p.m. Flying Duck versus Pro rAndy on Arch Some Cats.
Full shock, hit me with a prediction, man. How do you think this series is gonna go?
All right, I would say I was going to say 3-0 Randy, but I'm going to be honest. After watching Raxel like take it to game 5 against X Factor, I might go 3-1 or 3-2.
Okay, fair enough. I'm with you on that. I'd love to see a 3-2. Hopefully, my man Andy actually ends up taking it down. But if it does go to game 5, that'd be like super hype, right? So,
And this is another core v core affair. Looks like rAndy is going to go 2 max into 2 wind, 3rd max, and then the final one. And Duck opened with the 3 max instead.
yeah, pretty standard stuff. I have seen a couple different players use just the 2-mech spawn in this map, kind of pretty similar to what we were seeing on Comet Catcher, where you do get out the earlier con, you get out earlier scout, stuff like that. But considering the rush distance on the map, you're pretty safe and comfortable opening 3-mechs, con first, and taking the game from there.
And we're going to see core V versus core V. So get ready for Rascals.
Yeah, Rascal Incisor Pounder, right? Phase 2, I guess, would be the Incisor versus Incisor. I think, I think where we'd see this game really kind of start to deviate is how these players either A, choose to expand or not expand with their commander, and then B, what they choose to tech into for their second lab choice. Are we going to see that second air? Are we going to see that second vehicle lab kind of outside of the main base that's been very popular?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and we see it's interesting because we have seen kind of the bot tech to get the reclaim and then for res bots, and then the air on this map is pretty decent, so there is the potential for bombing both wind and geos. But we see 2 of Andy's Rascals making their way across the map. They're going to split and probably try to run in from different angles to see if they can get info or catch any expanding cons.
Yeah, this is something Andy really likes to do, opening Rascal first or Scout first, just to kind of get across the map, see a Scout of what his opponent's doing. But on top of that, Andy has some of the sharpest Rascal micro in the game, I'd say. So despite losing one there kind of immediately to the 2v1 situation, he is pretty competent micro. And of course, caster cursing that way into into that. No worries.
Yeah, so he tried to get in, and he doesn't. I mean, he knows that it's core vehicle versus core vehicle, doesn't
Right.
get any information on the exact spawn, and doesn't get any base layout. Sometimes those early raids can be super beneficial if you can at least see where the win is placed, so that if you do end up doing that blind bombing run later, you have a bit better idea. But looks like Flying Duck is going to start sending his own Rascals across the map and try to look and see if he can get any of that counter information. The bottom one is going to get caught by 2. No, it's not going to get caught. It's going to sneak through. Maybe.
There is an incisor here to stop it, and I believe it can take this out. Okay, really well done defending that. And I do see, yeah, Andy's commander is expanding along the top side of the map. Flying Duck a little bit late to that, but he did seem to get up a construction turret for his troubles. So of players playing, I'd say fairly standard so far, expanding with the commander on a map like this. There's just so many like 3-mech spots you can take very quickly with that build power. And increase your economy.
And Andy tries to sneak a rascal in, but there's a defending incisor from FlyingDuck. He is ready. So I think relatively equal. Andy has out expanded slightly. Like you said, he had that earlier comm walk and burning that comm BP to just take more mexes. So he has like a 33% income lead. But we'll see if either player can snipe expanding cons. It's interesting because we've seen a mixture of styles, right? Like Blow Deer has that insane naked expand where he had like 4 or 5 cons mass expanding with no LLTs, and then he was just applying pressure or defending with units.
Right.
And then we've also seen more of like the 1 max 1 LLT expand. Do you think there's a preference in this matchup, either core v core or on this map, for what makes more sense?
I was just about to comment on that. I think these high level players are so good at knowing like when tempo is on their side and when it's not. So like Andy there was kind of harassing on FlyingDuck's side of the map, so that let him he was free to kind of naked expand for a moment with this expanding con. So as soon as you're maybe on the back foot or starting to play defensively, that's when you'd see players start to add on more LLTs with their expanding cons. But Andy got away with a little bit of extra greed there. I can see his expanding cons are a little bit farther forward. He's just been making radars and mexes so far, so definitely kind of adding on to that economic lead he's already established.
Yeah, it's a pretty quiet game, all things considered. FlyingDuck tried to snipe a mex, but the LLT and the commander were able to push that back. He's going to drop another LLT and then keep expanding, but no major mistakes from either player. These are both high-level players. They're able to just kind of safely expand, not make any losses. Do you think we're just going to... When are we going to see the brute swap or the pounder swap?
I think around... I was going to say 30 metal per second, but that's way too early for that. I'd say as soon as the battle lines are kind of drawn, players have kind of pushed up to their half of the map, and the map gets like more and more choked up with LLT, stuff like that, is when you'll see players start to transition into those heavier tanks.
And rAndy has a slight army advantage lead here. So it's just 13 incisors to 10 incisors, but no overwhelming engagements yet. Both players skirmishing a little bit, trying to push this. I do like that Sash has some great forward radars to just see any raids coming in. And in this middle battle here, it looks like rAndy is gonna be able to take this pretty handily. There is an LLT going up, and there are cons, or there is a con, so we can reclaim this wreck as long as he doesn't lose.
Yeah, Andy's been doing a great job of keeping his units on FlyingDuck's side of the map, and was just rallying every single tank he had right into the mid. So I mean, there's really nothing on the top or the bottom side of the map. This is his whole army right here, trying to find some damage.
And Andy is doing I don't know if you saw that, he's doing an incredible job with area set target. So in all of these engagements, he's area set targeting his incisors on the other incisors, and the focus fire is letting him just out trade incredibly well.
Yeah, that's a mechanic I actually just recently learned about. Thank you, Sabotai, for pointing that out. But you're exactly right. You can use the area set target in these engagements, and your units will like single target tanks down until they move on to their next target. And if you're not using that like your opponent is, you can just get out traded, before you even realize what's happening.
FlyingDuck with the alternate, we've seen this a few times, kind of when they get to the bottom corner, his comm expanded down, and then is going to drop a vehicle lab. So he'll have a northern V lab, a bot V lab, and then kind of put units out from it. But in that mid fight, FlyingDuck had enough reinforcements to push rAndy off that wreck field, so he is going to be able to reclaim it. There wasn't too much. There was about 700 metal on the ground, but the constructor there is happy to take it. And this is still an incredibly close game. I mean, metal produced only has like a 7% difference.
Yeah, a couple things working towards Andy's favor, though. He did manage to get that Geo up in time, so he's sitting on a comfortable energy lead right now. But this is where the game's really starting to deviate. Andy chose to go second air. FlyingDuck went for that second vehicle lab on the south side of the map. So unless Andy can get a really nice trade here in the middle with those Shuris, I'm a bit worried for him, because FlyingDuck's tempo is going to start, leaning towards him with all these extra tanks on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, and Mass Incisor, even though you feel like it should be Shuriable like Brute, Incisors, when you have enough of them, if you don't have an overwhelming number of Shuris, they can actually survive and shoot them down way longer than you think they would. But it looks like rAndy's going to commit those Shuris into the mid. And along with his incisors, FlyingDuck is going to try to back off, but a bunch of them are already locked down. rAndy with the area attack. He did not fight command, so these are all splitting up. And FlyingDuck is losing a lot. He's trying to retreat back into his LLT, but I think Andy has this pretty well secured. He's going to take this favorably, and he already has VCons in back, just eating all of the wreckage on the ground. Oh, Pounders. Never mind.
Yeah, Pounders did show up at the front line, so this push should be pushed away by FlyingDuck. Really nice there. That Pounder living with like 5% HP even, so it's going to get a couple more shots off. Andy desperately trying to get up an LLT to help secure this, you know.
Oh no, and Andy with the APM saw the Pounder. Oh, okay, fine. The LLT kills it. That Pounder got like 4 extra shots, but there's another reinforcing Pounder on the bottom, and these incisors cannot man fight into it, but maybe the Shuris are going to be able to come and lock it down.
Yeah, a couple more Shuris show up. FlyingDuck did transition into air himself, so he's, you know, fielding some figs to help deal with this. Andy desperately trying to secure this reclaim field, which is closer to FlyingDuck's reinforcements. So I think the longer this goes on, the more I'm liking FlyingDuck's position here.
Yeah, and another crazy thing, FlyingDuck is actually naked calm walking along bottom while this battle is happening, but this mid-rec field feels like it could be almost game deciding. rAndy has taken a lead across basically all metrics, but the 3.1 metal, 3.2 metal on the ground here, if FlyingDuck can secure it, which it looks like he should be able to, he just needs to get some cons down here to eat it. Could definitely swing the favor. It's interesting, we don't see, the only player that I've seen do it very well is Raxel bringing out the air cons to get reclaim. Is there a reason why we don't see it more, Barcast?
You know, air cons are pretty vulnerable, I'd say. So if both players are on air tech, it can be a little disheartening to kind of lose those. But you are right; they are so strong at just jumping on top of these reclaim fields, you know, very quickly, securing that, just gobbling up the metal, and you know, putting it back into extra units. So both players choosing to make these forward vehicle labs. FlyingDuck actually reclaimed the first one.
Yeah, so he reclaimed it and built it like half a screen forward in the middle of nowhere. What? Okay, and still battling here, but FlyingDuck does have a VCon, has 2 VCons now, just gobbling up this wreck field. So I think as long as he can hold it, he'll be able to equalize metal produced. I am a little concerned though, because it feels like Andy is just outscaling him.
Yeah, it looks like energy per second going towards our blue hero.
He does no Geo from FlyingDuck yet, and I feel like that is, I mean, that is the energy difference right there.
Yeah, something to note about Arkham Cats is just the 2 minimum wind speed can be really punishing because you're just so focused on scaling wind turbines for energy, but you know, making that geo can give you that stability you need. Like as I'm saying this now, I can see wind actually just plummeting down to
oh
so,
no.
You know, stuff like resing goes out the window. Even making air units can be very taxing on like low energy income because they're just so expensive in terms of E. And you know, speaking of air cons at the front line, I see one for Andy here, just jumping on top of this reclaim, grabbing it as fast as he can. FlyingDuck hasn't quite seen it. All he needs to do is just move those figs just a little bit farther forward to snipe.
And rAndy has a massive vehicle push on top. It looks like he's got Pounders and Incisors. He's clearing up everything here. He has a slight army value lead, and FlyingDuck does not have anything in position to stop this. So all those Incisors are going to raid up while the battle in middle continues, and it looks like we've transitioned out of Incisors into primarily Brutes.
Yeah, it looks like this trade in middle is going towards our red player, but Andy has just already reached the main base of FlyingDuck here. I can see some incisors like moving onto this high ground plateau. That is not a trivial amount of incisors, so, and it's going to be difficult to get enough brutes to defend this. They're much slower at moving.
He's dropping a twin guard, but the BP isn't on the twin guard, it's on the Geo, so I don't think they get it. And I think these, yeah, he's going to area set target the BP. He gets 1 nano, 2 nanos. Can he get the third? He gets the third.
Ooh, that is just devastating. They're so expensive in terms of B, even losing more wind turbines here.
Yeah, and he hasn't quite responding to it yet. And in the third time that I thought I would never say this, the raiding Pounders are coming in from the top.
Yeah, Pounders raiding the main base is something I did not expect to see in this BPL. It looks like, I mean, this match is so close. The fight is going well towards Raxel in middle, who's just comfortably, reclaiming this metal in mid. He has his own pressure on Andy's south side of the map, kind of leaking in, clearing out mexes and LLTs. See some Shuris here to try and stop that, but
Yeah, I mean, there's basically three main battlefronts here. Unfortunately, FlyingDuck wasn't able to push up into high ground, right? So he's still on the low ground outside of rAndy's base, but these Pounders are inside, and there are Twin Guards, and sure, he's fighting against it, but this is scary because he has no reinforcements and nothing else. And Andy, realizing that the base is defended, is going to swing this army down and just start sniping all of the mexes that are behind FlyingDuck's army.
yeah, can even come in and flank that army that's in mid. Looks like FlyingDuck was able to raid into Randy's own main base, so he's going to try and get some counter damage here. Looks like these wind turbines are at risk, but there should be Shuris out to defend against this.
Yeah, I think they're going to get shut down early, but I mean, he got, what, 2 mexes, and he got quite a few wind now, which is nice.
Oh, you gotta stun the tanks, man. Just
what's going on? Oh, it's getting eaten. It's, yeah, okay. He reclaims it. So FlyingDuck has one army in mid, but it's kind of sandwiched between 2 more, and I don't know if he can really hold this. He's trying to fight against this advancing army, but at the same point, rAndy just has the full mex control. We're seeing a pretty massive out eco here. FlyingDuck doing his best to hold bottom. He's got his commander down here. I'm a little concerned that there isn't that much around his commander on bottom. I think if rAndy just commits the entire brute ball down there, he might be able to snipe it.
Yeah, this is definitely the time in the match where you want to start thinking about moving your commander back in the main base. I will say Andy's doing a really good job of using these air cons. I see about 5 of them on the map right now, just recapping the mexes, grabbing reclaim where they, can get to, scooping up metal that should be FlyingDucks.
Tank versus tank, and FlyingDuck calls it. He realizes that he's just a little bit too far behind.
That was looking very even for a long time. Even I would have given the advantage to FlyingDuck for most of that game, but kind of with all those fights in mid and the reclaim going towards him. But as soon as Andy was able to get that second lab set up on the top side of the map, things just started spiraling out of control. He was never able to, FlyingDuck was never able to like split his units and correctly and be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was rAndy's map, though. He did pick it, and so game 2 is going to go into Devil's Post Piles, which is the map that FlyingDuck picked. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to recover on this. I think this is a map that is a lot more technical in many ways because it is choky, and you do have a lot of, there's a geo, there's reclaim, there's tons of mexes in the corners. So there's a lot of opportunity. Do you think there's any, I feel like I primarily have only seen core on this map. You can see everything, but core has just been super dominant, especially it's so choky that Pounders just have a field day. Right. Any comments, Marcast?
I think you're totally right. Cortex is what players have been showing us a lot, and it's really just due to the fact that Pounders are so strong in these tight lane maps. So here we are, have arrived at game number 2. FlyingDuck spawning the top left side, playing as the Cortex commander. Surely he'd be going vehicles here.
We'll see. He's going to drop wind, and rAndy also as Cortex. We've seen 2 core v core matchups. I'm a little concerned. Are these players racist, Marcast? No arm picks?
No arm, yeah. I guess X Factor was the only player confident enough to be picking our Armada in this tournament so far, but
yeah, and you are correct. So FlyingDuck is going to go 3 max, 4 wind. Wind is at 11, and he's just going to drop that V-Lab right after. And it looks like rAndy is going to do the same, except he's going to opt for the solar start as opposed to the wind start. Do you have a preference for those? Min wind is 6, but the BP cost of solars is always nice.
Yeah, on 14 wind speed maps lately, I've been leaning a lot more solar heavy just because, of course, you have that guaranteed income in this early game. I think the math is a little bit easier in terms of like, okay, I need to make this many solars to get out this many cons and start expanding, stuff like that. So it definitely simplifies the early game. So you're not, completely reliant on good wind versus bad wind kind of screwing up your game plan.
And FlyingDuck is going to open 2 con into 100 rascals. rAndy is going to go con, 2 rascals, con, 5 rascals, 2 cons, 2 rascals. This is the weirdest queue I've ever seen. There's a lot of cons and rascals, and eventually incisors come.
Pretty interesting differences in spawning locations. We see both players spawned on the top side of the board, but I'd say Andy has a little bit more of a natural time kind of expanding with his commander down along the right side. And I'm wondering if FlyingDuck is actually going to be aggressive with his commander towards Randy's base, considering that rush distance is so much shorter. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we'll see. One kind of interesting thing that we've seen a few people do in these spawn positions is FlyingDuck will walk his calm and then do high ground LLT placements to deny the 2 mexes that are sort of in rAndy's base on that cliff. And I forgot who it was, but someone dropped a bot lab up there as well and then spammed grunts in.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity for some shenanigans. Something to know about this map, it was changed before this tournament. I want to say those kind of hills you're referring to were traversable by bots. So
they used to be, yeah.
Which, after seeing so many games on this map and it being so like vehicle dominated, I'm wondering if it'd actually be good to kind of change that back to give the map a little bit more attack paths, so both labs are a little bit more viable, but it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we'll see. rAndy has out expanded significantly. We're looking at 12 metal a second to 18 metal a second. And just like you said, I mean, Randy's calm can easily expand down the right side, but FlyingDuck is taking quite a bit longer to really get his calm into position to start tapping the mexes along his side. And packs of roaming rascals are not going to be able to enter the base. Randy just has 2 incisors that are going to deny entrance, and his calm, I think, can shut down this rascal raid.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's a great place to put a little LLT to kind of cut off that lane into your main base. Looks like one's going to go down right now. And, like you were saying, Andy's got such a more natural expansion path with his commander, like along the way to the bottom right side of the map. You can just pick up mexes, put down radars, add LLTs, whereas FlyingDuck had to walk like a much farther distance to start making extra mexes. But a mine layer out here from FlyingDuck. We haven't seen that unit too many times in this game.
Yeah, I feel like we've seen him more this BPL than I have in previous 1v1 tourneys. I like it. I also think in these choke point maps, it's so amazing the value that they can get, especially because as the player, you never know how many mines are behind the first line of mines. And so you inevitably run into these situations where you, as the spectator, you see the player run through and like clear the mines with units and then panic and pull back because they don't know what's ahead of it. So the mental damage is always prime. And Randy's making his way to the bottom corner now.
Oh, FlyingDuck is setting up a trap here for Andy's commander. It looks like he placed 3 medium mines. Is placing 3 medium mines here. If he can put those on hold fire, he might actually be able to. This is insane. Actually, I want this to work so bad, despite my man Andy.
Those are heavy mines, not medium mines. Which also he doesn't have the strongest E economy, so I'm a little worried that they're going to drain a lot. Because what are they? 10 a second?
It's quite a bit. I mean, but who cares if you just instantly win the game? We'll have to see if.
Yeah. I'm super excited to see this as well. If he actually pulls this off, I will be super impressed. Unfortunately, they are not on hold fire; they're on fire at will. So we will see. Yes. And Andy's going to start pushing out with some pounders to kind of keep these chokes covered. It looks like he swapped to just pure pounder. He's got pounder on repeat.
I mean, FlyingDuck needs to get this mine layer out of here, because if Andy does get wind of this, he might be kind of, tipped to what's actually happening. It looks like the mines did finish. Gonna get a.
He's going to drop a beholder as well to get the vision. If this wins, I cannot express how excited I will be.
He needs to get out of here. He can't reveal this unit because that's just going to give Andy the information he needs. He's just making it up the hill right now. This beholder's
Does
almost.
Andy see it? Andy sees the mine layer. Oh! He ran out of E. He E-stalled. And so the mine revealed. Damn. Oh, so close. It was a beautiful attempt. I think you're right, though. If he had just run out, he would have been completely fine. FlyingDuck telling everyone, forgot hold fire, which is exactly what he forgot to do. It was I could see the glory in the play, though, the idea in the play.
So I guess back to the game here. FlyingDuck, you know, despite the little cheeky shenanigans, does have a nice little medal lead right now. You can see Andy has finished his Geo, though, so FlyingDuck just trying to get that up now. So both players kind of prioritizing one of them is prioritizing metal, the other one prioritizing E, it looks like.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, like, metal produced is basically dead equal across the whole game. Granted, FlyingDuck will start to pull ahead here, and Randy has that slight energy produced lead, but army value is essentially equal too. So this still feels like anyone's game, and FlyingDuck's Geo finishes, and so that energy advantage that Randy had gets pushed back, and we see some incisors trying to surround and kill this pounder. I think the pounder is going to get a number of them before it's taken down.
Yeah, this is that's a really nice catch by FlyingDuck, actually. Those two pounders represented, you know, pretty significant part of Andy's army. I mean, he really doesn't have much. He's trying to do this air transition right now, so he's little bit light on units at the moment. Both players playing very greedy. FlyingDuck just completely naked expanding on the bottom left. If Andy only knew, could send a couple of scouts down there and try and take out the mexes, but
Randy with the air lab transition, I like this, and he's going to start transporting things down to boost it. We've seen this quite a bit where you kind of end up in a two-base situation where the player has their main base and they have a secondary base, which is interesting because you see a lot of kind of dual side play, and then sometimes those labs will be different. It's also one of the things I think that pushes this into T2 more than any other map, but still feels relatively equal. Randy gets a full scout.
If Andy only knew FlyingDuck had 2.2k metal in his bank, he would be feeling a little bit better right now. So that entire metal produced lead that FlyingDuck has is kind of out the window. He just can't spend his metal. Finally spends a bit of it. Hitting on some additional counter.
And Andy lands both the scouts. They haven't been... Oh no, one of them dies. Does he find the other one? He does not. I love this from Andy. We've seen a few players do this where you get the early air cons and then you just put AA up on these post piles, and it's super difficult because you essentially can't out trade the other team's fighters, and they're really difficult to dislodge. He also had a trans. I'm curious if he's going to do the Wolverine cheese where he puts like a Wolverine or two on top of those post piles, which they're not that dangerous, but they are annoying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's really no good way to clear out those anti-air turrets once they get put up. I know, save for when you're like maybe T2 air yourself, or you just want to commit a bunch of light transports with some units to clear out those post piles. But you know, Andy did a great job defending those air cons from FlyingDuck, who is definitely out on the map trying to hunt those down.
And we see a massive swarm of pounders coming out. We got 19 pounders for FlyingDuck, 9 for Andy. Fig count is relatively equal, though. Randy has 8 and FlyingDuck has 7. They're still skirmishing in mid, but again, there's a thistle that just makes it impossible for FlyingDuck to actually win any of these fighter fights.
Yeah, and that's going to give Andy some great cover to actually make some Shuris here if he wants to. So it's like a single incisor made its way through the main base. Looks like it's going to get caught out by a pounder, but I am a bit worried for Andy right now. I mean, this is a significant...
That is, yeah, that's a lot of pounders. I think if he can just go Shuri, we'll see. But both players have labs on the bot, so we're going to see, in addition to the fight that's happening on top, we're also going to see units produced from both sides. Andy is taking all of these post-pile mexes with the aircons as well, so that metal produced advantage that FlyingDuck had is now equalized. Both players at 56 metal a second, and FlyingDuck coming in with the pounders. Let's see if Randy can ride the defender's advantage. There are a lot of pounders coming in behind this, though.
Yeah, and he was able to get up these two twin guards though exactly at the right time. So this should be shut down between the pounders kind of streaming out of his lab. You see he's got what, three here. Fourth one is just making its way to the front line, and repair is just too good.
And at the same point that this is happening, Randy has raiding pounders on the other side. I don't know if they're going to be able to snipe that. Does he get this twin guard? He's trying. Ooh, what?
Yeah, repair's too good. Like he just dropped like 2.5k reclaim right in front of Andy's base. So
he was, yeah. The committing was a little rough. I think he maybe, yeah. I guess if he hadn't committed there, it would have been better. But oof.
I mean, in a tournament game, I'd say, perhaps it's best to kind of hold on and, play the game out a little bit longer. But, do you want to lose and get on to the next game now, or do you want to lose over the next like 15, 20 minutes? And
I mean, fair enough. So that was game 2 on Devil's Post Piles. And unfortunately for FlyingDuck, we are going into game 3 on Pools of Illis. And this is match point for Randy. So FlyingDuck is going to have to, lean deep, dig deep into that pool of British versus British history and find a way to overcome his countrymen.
It's going to be tough. I mean, you're going up against, easily, top 5 player in the game, right? Andy is just really well known as being one of the best 1v1 players of the game. And what you don't want to be is on match point versus him in the round of 8. Last life, no.
Yeah, no redos, no extra lives here. All right, and it looks like both players are going to do the 2-mech spawn. Randy with the arm spawn. Okay, awesome. So LDM, if you just want to change the score, we can go ahead and just go to game 2. It's pretty awesome that FlyingDuck took a game off Randy. So just kidding. I'm excited. We actually get to see arm.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see, does Andy choose to roll bots here or vehicles? I think it's I guess any lab can be put down here, but both of them seem to work. It can be very impressive playing against grunts with Cortex or Armada bots though, so rightly so. See him has that vehicle lab queued up. Not gonna see any of our pawns just yet.
And we're gonna see core bots from FlyingDuck, and he's going to go Grave Robber 2 Con before any grunt. So a little bit greedy, which maybe can be punished because Randy's going to open triple rover. He's going to open 3 rover, 1 con, 3 rover. So Randy might be able to do a bit of damage or catch one of these res bots. FlyingDuck is going to have to be very careful.
This could be kind of a repeat of what we saw in that Blow Deer game, though. Despite playing bots versus vehicles on this map, just by nature of having all this early build power, having access to that energy reclaim, you have this kind of power spike with bots. Being able to leave the main base with your commander, you get that con turret up quickly enough. But it's it's on Andy to find some damage here, because if FlyingDuck gets away with this really super greedy open, he's going to be ahead.
Interestingly enough, Randy is dropped into Blitz already. He went 3 rover and then he dropped back and is making Blitz, which I feel like can be a little dangerous because if you try to skip the scouting, hold on, we got raids coming in. Does he get he doesn't get the res bot. Survives with 15% HP, and this other rover is going to try to snipe this expanding con, but there is a grunt coming. And the other rover that was on top, that con is protected by a grunt as well. So FlyingDuck may have blunted this aggression from Randy.
It was kind of unfortunate. I think that one Rascal actually missed its shot against that Grave Robber reclaiming. So that would have been a huge catch for Andy to actually be able to shut that down. But, did it get some decent kind of pressure on, slow down 1-mech. So it wasn't completely worthless, making those early Rascals, but FlyingDuck should be feeling pretty comfortable right now. This is exactly what he wanted to do, right? We have this greedy open. He's getting his con turret up in his main base. He should be expanding with his commander soon enough. And, once you have this many grunts out, it is a lot easier to defend yourself against all these scouts.
Okay, so I'm a little intrigued. It looks like we're going to see a con go down. This Blitz is going to find a con and stop that mech. So one expanded con is down, which is nice, but Andy is gonna go for Beaver, and I'm assuming for titles. So he's just gonna run it into one of the big pools and start spamming. It's boosting right now, but that's the only reason I could think to make one, right? Or do you think we might see a puddle play where he's gonna? I mean, you don't go turtle, but you could theoretically go for a 1.5 lab in one of the pools and then play aggressive off of that.
I'd imagine it's for titles, and then maybe like it has a little bit of extra mobility, like moving up and down those hills you see in mid. But we really don't see players go for that too often. So looks like yeah, he is just going to be expanding with it. Maybe he makes some like edge builds, some titles. What am I watching here? Andy's like placing down beholders, placing down mines with his mine layer, stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll see. So that is actually going to take, a few of those mexes. Did he queue it? No, he has. So he hasn't actually queued it. So we're not sure where it'll end up yet. And both players are calm expanding vertically, which I think is pretty common. I will say that in a way, I think that it can be a little bit more dangerous for FlyingDuck just because Janus, if your comm is out of position and there's even just a couple of Janus that find it on the other side of the map before you can kind of retreat it back to base, it's a real easy way to lose a game. And we see 3 raiding blitz coming up. There's a handful of retreating grunts that are going to try to group around these 2 cons, but I think both of these expanding cons might get taken out by these blitz and the supporting rovers.
Yeah, grunts do have a range advantage over the blitz and can kite them. Andy choosing not to take that engagement. Looks like he's got a couple more kind of snaking their way up through mid. Maybe he jumps on top of that, but it looks like for now FlyingDuck has enough grunts in position to defend himself, even reinforcing these 2 cons in mid. So still doing a great job defending his expanding cons. Getting
he's getting great surround for the flanking damage. So he's actually trading far better than I thought he would.
Looks like Andy was able to catch out a con there, trying to expand to those 2 mexes by the Geo. Is he going to find a second con? Don't think so.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay. The one concerning thing is that all these wrecks are on the bot side of the map, right? So FlyingDuck theoretically can either reclaim them or res them if he wants and send them back. LDM, what is the mine layer in the bottom left doing? I've got questions and I need answers. Beholder and mines. Heavy mine. Oh, if rAndy, if the counterplay happens, oh no!
Wait, is it really just 2 heavy mines to clear this? Okay, the radar
I think so.
Oh, he's stopping to make a radar. Okay, this is gonna be really close.
Wait, he sees it, right? Yeah, he's got vision.
I know, but is he looking?
I mean, fair.
Wow, that didn't have time to look.
Didn't have time. The other one does, though, right? Oh my god! 70% of his health! He almost died there. That is incredibly lucky. At the same time, we see a raid that was headed towards rAndy's commander, and they're going to see the commander and the LLT getting dropped down and retreat away. FlyingDuck has secured the center of the map with a row of grunts, but there are a lot of blitz. There's 10 blitz that are getting into position to try to do... I like that as well.
Andy's still trying to get this commander snipe. I don't think FlyingDuck is actually going to give it to him. He has to imagine that mine layer is still alive, still laying down mines.
And FlyingDuck did do a V-swap, so he's got 4 incisors ready, and he's actually rezzed 2 blitz. So instead of the traditional blitz versus grunt matchup, we're going to start seeing incisors, and it is a lot more difficult for blitz to trade well into incisors. They historically, we're just going to say, have not done well.
Yeah, pretty proper transition timing too. So he's trying to find some value with these grunts here and there, trying to sneak around these like cliffs and hills. But Andy had some really well-placed LLTs to defend himself. Looks like both players are, it's a relatively even game, it seems. Metal income's the same, energy income is the same. I do say, I think I like FlyingDuck's position just a little bit better. Like, as you said, he's already switched to incisors, which trade much better against blitzes. He's going to be able to defend this push, it seems. We'll have to see. Yeah, Andy's not going to choose to take this attack. Right, so backs away.
I think you just back up there, but it looks like the vast majority of the free mexes are more or less claimed. So I think we're going to potentially see that swap into Brute and Stout, maybe some Pounder and some Janus on top. We'll see. I'm still waiting for this amphibious con to go into the water and start making titles. It feels like it was just a misclick at this point, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine he paid the extra, energy cost just to have like a slightly faster con going up those like two hills that really
And
aren't.
another fight here, but the blitz ran into the incisors, and that laser drop off, it's somewhat counterintuitive because it's like you want the blitz to be close enough to trade with the incisors, but you want them at max range because if they close in, the incisors basically deal double damage, right? Laser drop off goes from 50% at range to 100% when they're closer. And these incisors are just sniping away these blitz. Randy needs to be very careful.
Looks like he's made an air transition. I see an air con flying across the map. Should be capping these like high mexes here. I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing some gunships come out, which can't say that those trade very well against incisors. I'm a bit worried for Andy's position. FlyingDuck has like a 47% army value lead.
And FlyingDuck already has an air lab, and if he scouts this, or even if he just has a handful of figs before the Banshees cross the map, it's gonna be rough. And on top of that, I think that I think one of the air cons was already shown, so he probably got the aircraft detected. So he should, yeah, he already has figs coming out. We see a massive raid from FlyingDuck. This needs to do quite a bit of damage. Self D, 3 seconds. Oh my god. Oh, close, it gets sniped. So FlyingDuck splits, incisors are going to go south, grunts are going to go north, try to clean up some of those expansions. This is a lot of metal. Stouts are here, and FlyingDuck is going to retreat as Andy gives pursuit. It looks like this could be, oh, he stalls out. He doesn't keep going. The Blitz are going to be on top of it, trading relatively well, but unfortunately, oh, Banshees are revealed. So they're going to clean up this incisor raid. And now FlyingDuck is aware. We see figs flying across the map, but FlyingDuck has another raid of incisors just coming through mid here. And unlike previous games, there are not Shuris to lock this down. Those Banshees are not super effective or not super quick at shutting down raids, and there's already figs ready.
Yeah, he's FlyingDuck continuing to apply the pressure here. He should be taking
he found all the Banshees. No.
They are landed, so they might not be taken out super quick. FlyingDuck's flying over some AA right now, but these incisors still finding.
Yeah, I mean they're coming in, and Randy's gonna need to get in position, but if these incisors and this raid can get in and start sniping energy, it's gonna be concerning. FlyingDuck already has an E lead, so Randy might get pushed back a bit, and he had to make whistlers to try to kill all these figs that were in his base, and so turns out whistlers not super great against raiding units. So wind starts going down. Great raid from FlyingDuck, and Randy's calm is calm walking talk towards the Geo, which is a little confusing as this raid continues.
FlyingDuck is doing so much damage right now. He's taking out the E. Andy's, can't spend his metal right now. He's like 2,000 metal in the bank.
Yeah, he's overflowing right now. He's straight up wasting metal, but he just did, I want to say, a borderline crippling amount of damage, and he has brute spam behind that. There is the trail of brutes just crossing the map, but there are a lot of stouts already in position. I think he needs to be pretty careful. Sometimes you can overextend like this and just leave a rec field on the wrong side of the map, and if that happens, it is not going to be positive.
Yeah, Andy's, got some LLTs here. Loch Ness Monster Andy is just going to dive into the lake here if things start going south. So, Andy's in a really bad position right now. FlyingDuck cleared out all these mexes on the right side of the map. He's trying to raid, but there's nothing there to attack.
And FlyingDuck just backs the raiding brutes that were there, just going to swing back through bottom. There's a few LLTs, but I think he gets both these mexes and probably cleans up all these LLTs, right? So he has to know he's in a pretty commanding position.
Yeah, clearing out a con as well. So Andy just backed into a corner right now, and he's got half the metal income of his opponent.
FlyingDuck, unfortunately, I think just mismicroed that. If you look at his base, he queued up a bunch of converters on accident, so hopefully those don't get built because he's been struggling a bit. No, he is, and he's going to do the converter. Ooh, okay.
He's trying to get a T2 lab up right now, and this is something I've seen him, just make the T2 lab, get out the couple of cons, and then move right back into medium tanks. So we'll have to see if he gets that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something that's great about just the mental impact of you don't see T2 units, so you aren't 100% sure that they transitioned. You just see more T1. And I think that sometimes that can lull players into a false sense of security where you're like, oh, he's still T1, he hasn't transitioned. I still have the opportunity to make all these different plays, but it's just he actually went T2 and is just massively outscaling you. On the other side, there's another raid coming on bottom. So we see 3 stouts defending and 5 brutes attacking, but more reinforcements are coming. I don't know if they're going to be able to really kill anything. It looks like he's going to retreat. And we start to see some Janus mixed in here.
Andy's kind of stabilizing right now. I mean, that's only because FlyingDuck stopped unit production and made this transition. So Andy is dealing with all these raiding units on his side of the map, but I mean, there's 4 tanks. Like
there's 4 more tanks. I mean, there is a Janus. The impulse from the Janus is definitely going to slow it down, which will be nice. But I agree with you. I think FlyingDuck is really starting to potentially run away with this game. Andy needs to not only survive. Oh, the wind keeps going down. This is great. Just riding out all of this. He's going to tap solars, maybe get a few more. But if FlyingDuck can ride out this T2 advantage and Andy can't really punish, he did leave. There was quite... Oh, the mine's already gone. I was excited to see the mine, but I think it's gone, right?
Yeah, there was one there. I'm wondering like, if it actually went off on a couple of these medium tanks, but, you know, FlyingDuck is shooed away back into his corner of the map.
And there's just one brute somehow behind everything attacking cons, which is amazing. Both these cons are going to back up. He's going to try to drop a radar. If he can kill both those expanding cons, it's actually kind of nice, though, because the longer he can keep rAndy not only on this side of the map, but also from not expanding, and 4 more reinforcement brutes are going to swing down. So rAndy is really on the ropes, and it looks like we see Tiger production from FlyingDuck. What's his T2 mech situation like, LDM?
I mean, he already has so many T2 mexes capped. Looks like he has, wait, 1,
6,
2, 3, 4 T2 cons already made. One's kind of sitting there assisting the lab for now, but I mean, it is just this map is so in favor of FlyingDuck right now. He's got a huge metal income lead. He's got a huge energy income lead. He's still raiding on Randy's side of the map despite he stopped making brutes like 2 minutes ago, 2-3 minutes ago.
And he's gonna get more wind with these. Oh, maybe not actually the Janus. No, he is. I mean, that's what, 6 wind, 8 wind, 10 wind, 12 wind, 14 wind, and he might get BP. Oh no. Oh, he gets more wind down below, which, I mean, awesome job, right? Randy has just been dealing with leaks forever. Randy's going to try to do a little counterattack on the bottom, but now he's going to get that T2 unit detected warning. First Tiger has made its way to the front line, and Randy has to know he is very far behind. That Banshee switch was not very positive for him. Second reinforcing Tiger is here, but there's a lot of stouts coming from the side, so all in all, Randy has 20 stouts, but there's already 7 Tigers on the field.
Yeah, and you can deal with a few Tigers here and there with your medium tanks, but as soon as they start getting in this high of number, I mean, you can just start kiting the brutes, just kiting the scouts, right? And I don't see a way for Andy to come back in this game. I mean, all FlyingDuck has to do is just keep printing these medium tanks, maybe take the Geo, and just kind of ride out this huge metal income lead.
Yeah, I mean, I like his position too, right? He still has Fig, so it's going to be borderline impossible to snipe his commander, and he has mid, and I agree with you. I mean, he's in a pretty commanding energy lead without the Geo. So Randy's going to have to take some super favorable fights or try to figure out something to do here. But some of these LLTs in mid are going down. This stout Janus push is coming in. There's no AA, so we could potentially see Shuris, but I think there's just enough of a Tiger Ball here that these won't really be able to punish. On the same side, we see 4 raiding brutes. They get 2 mexes. They don't get the cons, but they're pushing up here, and he's going to check and see, oh, there's no Geo, and there's a couple unprotected mexes, so they might be able to get more.
Yeah, Andy's committing his units to this attack in mid, right? He actually has some rare spots here to start, rezzing these units that went down, but he has to deal with these 2 Tigers on the bottom side of the map, and it looks like there's 2 more kind of streaming towards the main base here.
Yep, luckily... Go ahead.
All right, it looks like they're going to be caught out. The Janus shot goes off, impulses that first forward brute, and he's going to set target on this Tiger, and Andy should be able to clear up this raid.
And I love this Resbot play. I mean, this is one of the ways you can always come back into a game, right? Is just superior reclaim. Randy also split his attacking force. So even though he has those ones attacking in the middle, he sent a raid to the left, and all of those on the western side of the map can potentially swing up and then just start ripping apart his energy economy. And wow, this Resbot ball is absolutely incredible from Randy. It has just been picking up everything. So even though FlyingDuck is out trading or was out trading, everything that dies just keeps getting pushed back. And a bunch of the reinforcing Tigers tried to chase that army down, but Randy is knocking on FlyingDuck's front door now, so he needs to be very careful.
Yeah, he did make a Czar, so the Tonks are out. That should be enough to steer away these Janus, right? But I mean, the Response did a fair amount of work. Is Andy's commander like by the Geo right now?
Yeah, what is Randy? Oh my god! Oh no, Randy! Oh no! Did he? Was that on purpose? What was he trying to do, Randy? Oh my god! Well. Breakdown. What's this? When you walk into enemy LLTs, what are you trying to achieve, Barkas? Can you, as a top tier 1v1 player, can you fill me in on the strategic analysis?
Well, when you're that far behind, I think you just kind of have to take some risks, right? So that's what Andy's doing. Not the situation you want to be into, because it can be pretty unforgiving, as we saw. Commanders are fairly squishy, right? Twin Guard's pretty strong.
All right, so that was match point for Randy, but he does not clench it. So we're going to go to game 3 on Into Battle Redux. LDM keeps saying into the battle, and now I want to say it, and it is so obnoxious. Into Battle Redux. And I'm also going to say, guys, we saw a reverse sweep earlier today, right? So maybe FlyingDuck could pull this off. We'll see. This is a smaller map. I don't know. I mean, I will say these APM players are kind of putting everyone to shame with, we're like, oh, they're not, they're favored here and there. They've been putting out some good games here. So I'm excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Those APM players are just constantly improving. Really kind of shows their drive and determination to improve at the game. They've got a solid group of players to practice with, study replays, try and reflect and self-improve. And it's really been showing. I mean, both of these APM players that I think everyone, frankly, was kind of not dogging on, but considering their opponents, you didn't quite think they could take the series down, and have really been showing up today. So pretty cool to see.
Yep, and we're going to see a FlyingDuck with the 2 mechs core bot start.
And Andy's 3 mechs, so a bit of a risk here from Andy. If some grunts do get across the map, they might be able to find some damage. We'll have to see if, in classic Andy fashion, he goes a couple of attacking units before his first con.
He doesn't. Right now, he has it queued as con, grunt, con, 100 grunts.
So I think Andy actually got away with this bit of greed here. So he's going to have a metal income lead. Despite having the slower factory, you are able to kind of produce more units like straight away just by nature of having more metal income. You can kind of continue scaling energy with your commander, go back to assisting the lab, and then like we've seen a lot today, players are really not choosing to expand with their commander on this map when they're playing bots, instead just using the construction bots to move onto the map and cap the mixes.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Oh, I just watched the replay of Randy dying. I feel like I don't see thug transitions as quickly as I would expect. Is there a reason why? Because I feel like this map is so choky that if you could just, I mean, you obviously want to keep your commander in base for the early BP, like you were saying, but I feel like we see just grunt spam for much, much longer than I would normally expect.
I think it's because there's 3 lanes to attack into and they're so far apart, and thugs are so slow, it can be really difficult to pressure top or bottom, left or right, where you need to be, and just have these really slow moving thugs and not I mean, by the time they move to where they need to be, your opponent has enough time to prepare a defense, right? So
And first little exchange here, except this grunt from FlyingDuck is going to be flanked in a second. Oh, it's going to back up. It's got a reinforcing. Oh, now it's 2v3, and first blood goes to FlyingDuck. It looks like he might take down another one, and rAndy doesn't lose any of his 3 initial raiding grunts.
There is another blue grunt heading towards the south part of the map. Looks like that's going to get caught out on the mini map, so that pressure being cleared up from Andy. So all of FlyingDuck's attention should be here in the middle of the map, pressuring this expanding con. And this is the name of the game, right? Grunts versus grunts. So, can you expand and defend at the same time? Both players trying to find some damage here. Looks like Andy's going to actually end up catching out these couple of grunts here. He's going to secure his position and be able to defend that expanding con in mid.
Yep, and FlyingDuck is going to send here. He looks like he just wants to camp the top of the hill, kind of abuse that vision and abuse the choke point if he can deny the raiders coming up. But this grunt in back maybe can sneak around. It looks like rAndy's already there, was spotted on radar, so he has units coming in. With that said, FlyingDuck is ahead in metal production right now. He's metal produced is more or less equal, I think, just based off the start, but keeping rAndy on his side of the map means that he's been able to expand a little bit freer.
Hey, I really like FlyingDuck's position. He's been really on top of his grunt control this first early part of the game. Hasn't really taken any, bad fights, and that's just shown in the tempo he's got. He's got units all over Andy's side of the map. I mean, right now, Andy's kind of pushing onto his side, but if Andy's not careful, he's just going to take a trade on FlyingDuck's side, and just going to give him access to start making those res bots, pick up any damage that was done to him on his side of the map, and kind of swing the pendulum back towards Andy.
Oh, and a little cat and mouse game here. Andy, I don't think Andy knows that there are. Oh, he sees the con now, so he'll move up here, snipe this con, and get the radar. It looks like, unfortunately, that's not gonna be able to stop anything there. At the same point, FlyingDuck does have a little raid. I think it's gonna run into rAndy's commander, though, and other reinforcing ones. So he briefly denies the mechs and backs off. I think he killed the mechs, not canceled it, so at least he does do some economic damage there. If you guys don't know, when buildings decay, they slowly send back the resources, but if you kill them while they're being built, all the resources are gone.
The FlyingDuck has a slight army advantage right now. I'd say he has a little bit more tempo. He just shooed Andy away from his side of the map, but Andy did grab that one expanding con, and FlyingDuck's been staying inside of the main base with his commanders, so that should translate to a larger army value lead, because you're just using this 300 build power to sit on the lab and assist it the whole time. FlyingDuck's trying to run by with some grunts.
I don't think they get through, or maybe one gets through.
I mean, that's still huge. I mean,
one does get through, and there are some exposed mexes. There's some backup cons here, but if he can at least get 1 or 2 mexes, that's great. Oh, and the win just dropped to 5, and rAndy is death spiraling here. The mexes are not mining, which is probably the single worst feeling in all of Bar. Oh, rAndy's going to drop a solar immediately. He's like, yeah, when you don't mine metal, that's bad.
Not completely ideal. I can't say I really like Andy's position here. He's been walking his commander for such a long time, and that's just like so represents so much build power that he's not using to assist the lab, scale win. He's just giving his opponent more and more time to kind of produce more grunts.
And yeah, this raid, whoa, FlyingDuck is ready for the raid on that side. He's got an exploiter and 2 LLTs, which is going to almost completely deny early grunt aggression. You're going to need an overwhelming force of grunts to surpass that. On the other side, though, it looks like the raid from FlyingDuck was caught by rAndy, so rAndy with a great sped, able to get that flanking damage and completely annihilate all of those approaching grunts, and he's going to send those to the other side of the field. There aren't grunts ready there. FlyingDuck does have his grunts on the high ground, and the thug transition is coming. Community, eat your heart out. The best unit in the game, the Cortex Thug.
I still like FlyingDuck's position. He has more energy income. He's finally expanding with his commander. He did lose that army kind of trying to make a raid. Oh, okay, Andy's going to catch another expanding.
Self-D, no, I wouldn't self-D in time even if he wants to. And he's going to get the con. It looks like his commander's here. Unfortunately, the whole bottom is exposed, which I think rAndy might be able to punish. I'm more concerned. I know that you like FlyingDuck's position, but there is a...
What?
What? What? What?
Commander self-destructed.
Okay, looks like FlyingDuck's gonna tap out here.
I didn't even think he was behind. What? FlyingDuck, not like this. You gotta believe in yourself. They were neck and neck. Look at the graph. They were literally neck and neck. The only thing that... What? Okay, all right.
That was not what I expected to see. All right.
I feel like these APM players are their own worst enemies. He was completely fine in that game.
Yeah.
And there was another game where I was like, he was a little bit behind, but I was like, oh, like, I think he'll be able to do it. Like, what?
Yeah, very surprising, I think. Resigned for me, anyway. Like, he was definitely, I think, going to be in a weird position as he was staying on what, the hefty, like, grunt production, right? Whereas rAndy already had a lot of thugs, but still, all things considered, economically, he was totally fine. I don't know, interesting. Might have been a little bit in his own head there, like you said, but...
Yeah, I did not feel... I mean, Barcast literally had just finished saying, I actually prefer his position, and then he just cheat out, which... I don't even know. That's crazy.
Man.
Okay.
Semifinals tomorrow. That is going to be some exciting bar.
Yeah. So we are finished for today.